Hello, and welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're focused on maximizing efficiency and just trying to stay ahead of the curve in finance, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're looking at a completely radical shift in how we process financial data. We are talking about taking an exhaustive, day-long workflow and literally compressing it into seconds using generative AI.
I want you to really think about something for a second. How long does a full financial analysis actually take you? Think about the last time you had to completely tear down a company's SEC 10K filing, calculate 24 ratios, benchmark all of them against industry peers, and then try to somehow synthesize all of that into a narrative that actually makes sense to leadership, right? It is just a painful reality of traditional financial reporting. It's this massive, massive drain on your time and your mental energy.
Well, here's the exact contrast we're unpacking today. On the left side, we've got the traditional way, 8 hours of manual, tedious grinding. And on the right, the generative AI way, literally 15 seconds to an executive-ready report. We're going to explore exactly how this transformation happens, moving from simple integrations that you can use right now today, all the way up to enterprise-grade AI architectures. All right, let's dive right into this. Here's our agenda. First, we'll touch on the financial analysis grind. Second, we'll look at getting ChatGPT inside MS Excel. Third, mastering financial prompts. Fourth, advanced AI for CFOs. And finally, the completely automated AI reporter. Starting with Section 1, the financial analysis grind. This is the universal pain point we all know too well. Digging through those massive filings, reconciling messy, broken data exports, chasing down what actually moved the needle this quarter. The reality is, we spend so much time just gathering and organizing all these numbers that we barely have any energy left to actually analyze what the numbers mean. It's scattered data. It's those constant formatting headaches in Excel, and honestly, it's that lingering fear that you might have missed a critical footnote somewhere. This is the exact tension that our AI tools are finally built to solve.
Moving to Section 2, ChatGPT inside MS Excel. Let's talk about leveling up your current workflow.
So there are 3 really concrete ways to build a bridge between your current workflow and AI by embedding ChatGPT directly into Excel. First, there's a dedicated Excel plugin, which is basically an add-in that acts as a ridiculously fast parallel processing engine. Second, for the Windows users out there, you can actually run an Excel macro using just a little bit of VBA code to fetch responses via an API. And third, you can use it as a custom Excel function. You literally just type =AI assistant into a single cell, point it at another cell, and boom, you get an instant analysis.
Now, the sheer power of that first option, the plugin, is honestly incredible. Think about it. If you have 1,000 rows of data and you drag an AI formula down, traditional Excel is just going to freeze and crash. It can't handle it. But this plugin uses parallel processing to hit hundreds of prompts all at once. Plus, it supports batch processing using OpenAI's Batch API. This is a game changer because if you don't need the result in the next 2 seconds, running it as a batch actually saves you 50% on API costs. Half the cost. You can fill in missing data, extract key metrics from huge blocks of text, or even translate currencies and languages natively right there inside your spreadsheet.
Section 3, Mastering Financial Prompts. Let's talk about how you actually talk to the AI.
Here's the thing. If you just tell the AI, analyze this company, you are going to get a completely generic, basically useless summary. You need board-ready precision. So, under Growth and Trends, don't just ask for a summary. Instruct the AI to specifically highlight all changes greater than 10% and separate out one-time tax effects from ongoing performance. For profitability, ask for the actual drivers. Is infrastructure getting cheaper? Are ad prices rising? And for liquidity, you want to ask for really precise metrics, things like cash ratio and burn cover.
Take this exact prompt as a perfect example of how to extract really high-level insight. Calculate current ratio and quick ratio. Show cash ratio and months of operating expenses covered by cash. How many months can operations run from cash only? When analysts ran this very prompt on a company like Pinterest, the AI didn't just spit out a sterile number. It actually contextually explained that their cash covers about 5 months of operations, which cushions them against seasonality and ad market swings. That right there is the power of specific targeted prompting.
Section 4, Advanced AI for CFOs. We're getting into some hardcore data science now.
Now, what's really interesting here is that the gap between natural language and complex coding is pretty much vanished. Advanced Data Analysis, or ADA, is a built-in feature inside ChatGPT 4.
You simply upload a raw CSV or a messy Excel file, and the AI literally writes and executes Python code behind the scenes to process your data. And check this out. If it encounters a formatting error in your file, it actually reads the error, rewrites its own Python code to fix the bug, and just continues the analysis. It is quite literally like having a junior data scientist living inside your computer.
And it doesn't just calculate numbers either. Ada instantly generates visual interpretations of whatever data you provide. It'll spit out pie charts, bar graphs, scatter plots to help you spot trends instantly. Like, you can immediately visualize that 45% of your revenue is being eaten up by operating expenses. It takes visual storytelling to just a completely new level of speed.
Which brings us to Section 5, the Automated AI Reporter. This is the ultimate enterprise architecture.
Okay, I want to guide you through the architecture diagram for the Gen AI Financial Reporter because the flow here is brilliant. On the left side, it automatically ingests real-time SEC Edgar filings and Yahoo Finance data. Then that data actually splits into two separate paths. The structured numeric data goes into a Postgres database for absolutely flawless math calculations. Meanwhile, the unstructured narrative text, stuff like the risk factors and management discussion, gets chopped up into little chunks and stored into ChromaDB vector database. This whole setup powers what's called a Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG pipeline.
But you might be wondering who is actually doing the thinking here. Well, it's not just a single simple chatbot anymore. It is a React multi-agent system. You basically have a simulated team of 5 highly specialized AI agents working together. The orchestrator agent acts as the project manager, breaking down your request. It tells the research agent to go hunt down the SEC narratives. It tells the analysis agent to crunch the numbers. Then the writing agent drafts the actual executive summary. And finally, the critic agent reviews the output to make sure the numbers and the narrative actually match up perfectly.
27. That is the exact number of key performance indicators automatically computed by this system. Because this architecture is smart enough to separate the math into that PostgreSQL database, it flawlessly calculates 27 KPIs, everything from your standard gross margins to way more complex metrics like the Altman Z-score and free cash flow yield. And it does this without relying on the language model to do the math, which, as we all know, LLMs can sometimes really struggle with.
And here is the absolute mic drop metric: 1.3 milliseconds. That's the latency of the ChromaDB vector search. So when the AI needs to find a highly specific mention of a supply chain risk buried somewhere in a 300-page SEC 10K filing, it retrieves that exact chunk of text in 1.3 milliseconds. Because of this blistering speed, the entire end-to-end report generation, including the time it takes GPT-4 to write it, takes roughly 15 seconds.
So, the crucial point here is accuracy and provenance. We know the biggest fear in finance is AI hallucination, making things up. But because this uses a RAG pipeline, the system actually cites its sources. On average, it provides 4 exact SEC filing source citations per query. You don't have to trust the AI blindly. You just click the citation and verify the original text yourself. And the cost for this entire automated 15-second fully cited process, it's about 1.25 cents per query. It is literally solving the hallucination problem for pennies.
Which really leaves us with a profound shift in our industry. If an AI can accurately generate an executive-ready, fully cited financial report in 15 seconds, what will the financial analyst of tomorrow actually spend their time doing? When those 8 hours of busy work, the data gathering, and the manual grinding are completely eliminated, your value is no longer in just building the spreadsheet. Your value is in the strategy, the human relationships, and deciding what to actually do with those insights. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I highly recommend you start testing these tools in your own workflows today. See you next time.